Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on the program, Hei Fat Choi as the country welcomes the Chinese New Year. From career, wealth, and relationships, we find out what lies ahead in the year of the romantic water rabbit. We speak to Feng Shui expert Patrick Lim Fernandez live. It's Chinese New Year this Sunday. Love, luck, health. Will the year of the water rabbit be in favor of your Chinese zodiac? Let's go straight to the source of the story. Feng Shui expert Patrick Lim Fernandez. Good morning to you and Happy New Year.
Good morning, Happy New Year. Hei Fat Choi, Si Fat Sai, or how the local Hokkien say it, Hei. So Happy New Year. Hope everyone has a good start to the 2023 Western New Year, and we're celebrating our lunar or Chinese New Year this Sunday, January 22nd. So I hope everyone is having a prosperous, abundant, happy, and healthy 2023 so far.
It's definitely looking good. Things are going great so far. So in Chinese culture, the rabbit is a symbol of longevity, peace, and prosperity. So in general, what can we expect this year, 2023? And from this sign, I'm seeing a lot of optimism, and they say it's a year of hope.
Yes, definitely. So to put things into context, the rabbit is what we call a spring animal. Last year, the tiger was also a spring animal. The 3 years prior were the pig, the rat, and the ox. Those were all winter animals. And if we put things into context with what happened in the world, this was the pandemic. Quarantine, we were in sort of like a hibernation of sorts.
That was the year of the rat.
Exactly, the rat, the ox, the pig. So this is all winter years. Now, 2022, last year, the tiger, was the beginning of spring. So we started seeing things start to normalize. Kind of like how spring, you see the snow starting to melt and so on. And then for this year, the rabbit, it's the peak of spring. So as you mentioned, it's full of hope. It's kind of like a rebirth, reinvigoration, kind of like a reintegration into society. So that's what we see for the year of the rabbit. A lot of hope ahead of us.
And we're expecting, or they're saying, that we're going to see this year the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, hopefully, right?
Correct. So when we look at the different stars and energies, there's definitely a lot less adverse health stars for this year. Later on, when we go to some of the signs, we'll highlight some signs that need to be still a little bit more mindful of their health. But you're correct. I think they're calling this more now an endemic rather than a pandemic. So it's more how do we live with this and learn how to make this part of our lives. But you're right, there is definitely a lot more hope this year from that front.
And learn from the lessons of the pandemic.
Exactly.
So let's go to the name romantic water rabbit. What does this really mean? And for relationships, for example, what does this tell us?
Sure. So it's interesting. The rabbit is what's called a peach blossom star. Peach blossom is a kind of flower. The more famous cousin would be the cherry blossom. And these flowers are common in that part of the world, in China, Japan, Korea, and different parts of the world. What's interesting for the peach blossom is the cherry blossom, in contrast, always grows in bunches. So there's many to one bloom. The peach blossom always grows in pairs. And therefore, it became the symbol in ancient China and even through today of undying love, of two people always going together. If we put this in context for today, what it means, for example, for singles, it's a hopeful year. This is a year to open up your heart and your mind to this energy, maybe find the one for you. For those in a relationship, it's a good year to rekindle the fire. Go on maybe a second honeymoon, a third honeymoon, now that things are opening up, and so on. Really nurture those relationships. If we extend this to things beyond romantic love, to like filial love, love for our fellow man, that also applies. So for example, for your family members, for your friends, try to deepen those relationships, and even in the business context. For example, like for your colleagues, for your business partners, really try to nurture and figure out how to make those relationships more harmonious this year. So it's looking very hopeful from a relationship perspective.
So also for your family, your loved ones, in your marriage, you also make an effort to, rekindle your relationship and, establish that bond.
Exactly. Fundamentally, Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics is all about qi, or life energy. And when you're able to rekindle the qi of a relationship, the life energy, then you can see it bloom and grow very much like a peach blossom.
Well, let's talk about career and wealth. Is this a good year for us Filipinos? And you're saying, don't let stress wear you down, but then prices are so high for most people, they can barely do the day-to-day. And, how does this all go with the year of the rabbit here?
Sure. So if we take a look at the economy, one thing we do for our business and our shop is we layer in data analytics over this as well. So we take the best of Feng Shui, or the East, and quantitative methods of the West, and therefore this is what we put together to come up with what we are looking for this year. And for the economy in particular, the year of the rabbit historically has always been a pretty good year for market returns, for investments, and so on. So this is definitely looking a lot more hopeful versus the previous year, like last year, where we saw markets around the world down double digits, 10 to 20%. The good thing is that it's hopeful, so there's going to be a reemergence of that. On the flip side, there's also what we're calling headwinds. There's a lack of a certain element for this year, which is fire, which normally signifies economic activity. So what that means is there's the hope coming in with inflation starting to decrease in a lot of major markets around the world. Even in the Philippines, we're starting to see this plateau or even slow down compared to the previous months. However, there's still going to be that overhang of talks about the recession, talks about energy prices, employment. So if we layer on that context of what's happening in the world, it looks to coincide with what we're seeing from Feng Shui energy. So what we can tell people who are looking to invest, for example, is be cautiously optimistic. You may see a lot of good optimism in different sectors, and I'll tell you in a little bit which sectors are going to be good or better than average for the year. But it's going to look more hopeful than the previous year, but still be a little bit cautiously optimistic.
Okay, cautiously optimistic. I think we've been cautiously optimistic for the past few years because of what happened. Right? So, but this year, is it going to be a little bit different in terms of your how you look at risks?
That's a great question. So if we look at, for example, people who want to invest or people who are in businesses, there's a couple of industry sectors that are looking to do better than average. The first one has to do with the element of fire. And these are industries such as technology or software, industries in the energy sector, for communication, social media, for entertainment and events, and also the food industry. Those are seen to have better than average luck for the year. The other industries that look to be better as well are the metal industries. So this would be banking, finance, this would be like heavy metal industries like machinery, equipment, also beauty products or skincare, those fall under metal, the medical and dental industries, healthcare in general, and also technology from a hardware perspective. So those are the industries we see from a Feng Shui energy perspective to have better than average luck for this particular year.
Well, we've seen kind of a boom in terms of, health and wellness, beauty products, right? Is it going to be, the same this year or, more of a boom this year?
Yeah, I think for those sectors you mentioned, they're tied into re-emerging into society. In the pandemic, people may not have had the need for beauty products as much if they were at home, versus now everyone's going out. I think they're calling it revenge spending, revenge travel, right, and so on. And even if we see for like healthcare, people are now a lot more aware about not just how to cure what you have, but also how to prevent it, which is why we're seeing a good trend for those industries for the year.
Yes, and we talked more about self-care the past 2 years, remember? So let's go to the industries. What are the lucky industries this year, and what do we avoid?
Sure, the ones to avoid would be so we talked about the fire and metal industries that look to be particularly well. A question I get asked most often is how about the real estate or property industry, and that one's interesting. So it belongs to Earth, and Earth is average for the year. However, there's ways that you can actually make it work toward your favor. So Feng Shui really has to do more with the luck of the property, and Chinese metaphysics or one's horoscope has to do with the luck of one's person, like your particular animal sign. So for Feng Shui, we're seeing that there's going to be a change of a trend in 2024 going onwards. So for the developers, for those in the real estate industry, be aware of the date February 2024. This is where we're seeing a shift in energy. So for those developers who can capitalize on developments for this year, it will be good to consult with us or the proper Feng Shui experts to figure out how to do your developments. That'll make it lucky for 2023. And then very important for 2024, how to set yourself up as a developer for the next 20 years. So that's for the property industry. So there's a lot of hope there as well.
Okay, something to think about also. So we have to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about your animal sign and what's in store for you. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Maya Rodriguez. Our source today, Feng Shui expert Patrick Lim Fernandez. So we're expecting this year to be less dramatic, less tumultuous than the past year of the tiger, right? Let's talk about the animal signs now, because viewers are waiting for that. For example, for the year of the rabbit, this is the year of the romantic water rabbit. So for rabbits, what's your projection with the rabbit sign?
Sure. So for the rabbit, congratulations. It's your year. So for the
Our
rabbits,
year?
it's our year. For the rabbits among us, there is a star called the spotlight star where you will actually be in the spotlight. So take the advantage of this. This will be your platform to really push forward what you want to happen, what you want to do. So guide other people as well. At the same time, try to be humble because there's energies that you want to appease. So do everything a leader would do, but in a humble way. There's also a good star that has to do with wealth. So if you're a rabbit, it would be a good time to look into investments like equities, fixed income, property, and so on, and really delve into that this year, new sources of income. One thing for the rabbit to watch out for is potential disputes and conflicts. So whenever you're with other people and there's a rise in temper, try to be the cool head in the room if you can, because you're a magnet for some conflict energy for the year. So keep that in mind as you go out throughout the year for the rabbit. But it's looking pretty favorable. And there's also an intelligence star that will make you learn something new and pick up information quickly. So if you're thinking of studying again or just learning something new, this is a good year to do that.
A good year, maybe learn a new language.
There you go.
Okay. Well, about the spotlight star, is it going to be with you the whole year?
Yes, that's
Really?
that's a good thing. So whenever it's your year, take advantage of the energies that are present. So there's always going to be good energies and positive ones and the ones that are not so positive. So what we advise our clients and some of our viewers is this is really energies that are present. The key is what you do about it. So you may have some of the good energies, but if you don't take advantage of it, you'd be wasting all the potential. So what we also tell them is there's the energies and the luck, but also try to put the right effort in and use that as your tailwind to propel you even further.
Well, speaking of wasting potential, I think there were a lot of people who were averse to investing last year or the past years. But, you know, like the stocks were low, they're saying it's a good time to buy, but then most people still avoided that. For this year, is it a good time to invest early on or do we wait middle of the year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So fortunately, like for our shop, we also have a lot of background in finance and economics, and we're able to layer that on. So
Because you mentioned equities.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing there is the first half of the year might be a little tumultuous. So there's talk about the recession. No one knows how long it's going to be, how mild it's going to be. But I think the uncertainty is going to weigh for investors around the world. But then you're going to start seeing a pickup toward the second half of the year. It's going to be a little rocky, just like the rabbit is hopping up and down. So expect that a little bit this year because of the lack of the fire element. So again, if you're an investor, there's a star for the year called the nobleman star or benefactor star. In ancient China, this is someone who would give you help or assistance, sometimes when you don't ask for it even. So try to ask for help in the investment side, in particular if you're not too savvy with different instruments, so that you can get the right advice from the right person to help guide you.
Right. So let's go to for those born in the year of the rat. What is your projection for the rat? What are their strengths or the challenges that they might face this year?
Sure. For the rats, one piece of advice I would say is to make new friends. This is a good year for you to really delve into relationships, and a lot of your luck will come from the new people you meet this year. So put yourself out there, because now we're back to face-to-face interactions. Try to really capitalize on that. There's also good money luck. So what we advise people is look for different sources of income if you can, so that you can diversify. And then also make sure to save and invest wisely, so it's not money in and money out. A couple things to watch out for. The rat has a star called the illusory romance star, and what this means is you may have relationships that may not be what it seems. So even though there's a romantic energy of the year, be a little bit more discerning if you're a rat, just to make sure that you have the right relationships with the right people. And then also
that goes for the singles?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it goes for the singles, and for those, even for looking for business relationships, it applies there as well. And then there's also a star called the rumor and gossip star. So in case it does happen, just rise above it, so you don't get bogged down by all of these different chatter that's going on, and you don't get stressed out.
I think that goes for everyone. Just that choose the good energy.
Exactly,
always.
Exactly.
Okay, for the ox, so what should they focus on this year?
Sure. For the ox, it's a year about planning. So come up with milestones and guideposts for the year, and make sure you hold yourself accountable to whatever happens, and also have other people hold you accountable as well. So make sure there's always room for allowances or contingencies if things don't go your way. A few things for the ox to keep in mind. You may have some fluctuating emotions. So don't make decisions when things are too high or too low. Just try to keep calm throughout the year if you can. There's also a star that has to do with safety and injury, so be aware of your surroundings. In particular, pay attention to the people around you, especially your elderly and the family. Take care of their health, make sure they're having the regimens or protocols, and most importantly, their mental health and emotional health. Keep in touch with them often so that you can lift up their spirits. So that's for the ox.
Okay, for people born in the year of the tiger, what's in store for them?
Sure. So for the tiger, we have what we call this enhanced social star. So it's particularly good for relationships, and it's good for people in the public space as well, like for people in the media, in leadership positions, and influencers, I think is the new term right now. So be mindful of that. Even if you're not an influencer, you'll have good vibrations when you talk to people, and they'll be gravitating toward you. You may feel a little restless and anxious, however. So in case this does happen to you, just find a calm place mentally to calm your mind down, and then center yourself. Try to adapt a healthy lifestyle as well. Your nutrition, your sleep hygiene is very important, and also stress management. That's also very important. And try to exercise if you can to avoid any sicknesses. And then for those, for the tiger, try to do a blood test or a blood draw after February 4 of this year to help subdue some of these energies. So that's one piece of advice I can give to the tigers.
Okay.
And
remember, for those in the tiger, okay.
Yeah, and then lastly, you might lose things. So like your wallet, your iPhone or a smartphone or different things. So just be careful of your belongings as well a little bit this year.
Okay, good advice. Now for those born in the year of the dragon, what is your projection?
Sure, for the dragon, there's this very strong yang energy. And this has to do with the male energy. So really lean into the male relationships in your life, like your dad, your brothers, your male family members. And then in the business context, your male colleagues or business partners. They're the ones who are going to bring you luck this year. So if you need help, reach out to one of the guys in your life. There's also a star for professional advancement. So for professional advancement is good for someone who's just starting out their career, mid-career, even if they're a leader of a company or their own business or they're in school. This is good for dragons from their professional life. A couple things for the dragon to keep in mind. There's a star called that would make you kind of feel disinterested in the things going on around you. So you'll feel a little withdrawn, you'll feel a little bit disconnected from everything, even though in the past these are things that motivated you. So when you have these bouts, just try to recenter yourself and remind yourself why you're doing all of these things to get you motivated again. Then lastly, there's a star for unforeseen events. So just try to plan out, be flexible and adaptable in case these things happen. And then for the dragons, we'd advise in the northwest part of your home, find out where that sector is. Don't put anything with the color red, because this would spur some of these energies for unforeseen events. So that's for the dragon.
Okay, one more sign I think we have to cover is the snake.
Yes.
Yes.
So for the snake, I hope you have your passports up to date, because this is a year for travel for you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and it's especially good if you cross water. So fortunately, we have a lot of islands in our beautiful country, and then even if you go abroad, crossing water gives you more positive chi. And in a broader sense, travel also means expansion of horizons and change. So if you want to do smaller, big changes this year, this is a good time for the snakes to do that. They also have a star for opportunities, particularly in the business sense. And what this means is they will meet new people this year that will give them a lot of money. So same as the rat, that one is more for personal gain. This is going to be for professional gain. Try to put yourself out there, widen your network. Even virtually, you can do that. So you'll open yourself up to all these lucrative opportunities. The snakes should watch out for some potential communication breakdowns and misunderstandings, just so that they don't get into any gray areas with their colleagues or family members. And then lastly, you may find yourself in some bad moods this year. So be aware when that happens, and also pre-warn your friends and family. You might get into these bouts of bad moods so they don't get triggered by you.
Okay, a lot more signs to cover. I didn't realize there were a lot of signs. Okay, we'll be taking a short break. That's in store for you when we come back. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Our source today, Feng Shui expert Patrick Lim Fernandez. So we're covering the signs in the Chinese zodiac. We're now going to talk about the horse. What's in store for those born in the year of the horse?
Sure. So for the horses this year, who's going to give you more of your luck are the females in your life. This is the yin energy. So your significant other, your wife, your mom, your sisters, any family members and friends. So lean into those relationships a little bit more this year, and they'll be the ones to help you out. It's also good for relationships in general. For the horse, just be a little bit more conservative and don't be overly ambitious as you try to pursue wealth and opportunities. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Also be careful with your choice of words in what you say, what you write, even what you post online. So be a little bit more careful this year if you're a horse.
Be careful because there's cancel culture.
Exactly.
Wait, what about the goat?
So for the goat, it's a good year for expansion. So if you're a business owner, this is a good time to expand your business products and services. Even if you're working corporate, you can widen your scope. For the goats, however, there's a star called the float sync star. So this means that you'll feel that you're just moving up and down, kind of like in the ocean, and not really moving forward, even though a lot of things are happening. So just be a little bit more patient with the things going on around you. Things will happen in their own time. And you might also find yourself getting a little bit more easily irritated at things that maybe in the past didn't irritate you. So you'll become a little bit more irritable. So keep that in mind as well so that you don't strain any relationships. You do have a creativity star though, so you can find creative ways to get through these different irritations.
Yes, that's good. Well, what about the monkeys?
So for the monkey, you have a leadership star, which is good because if you're in a position of leadership, you can really shine. And even if you're not in a position of leadership, this is a good year to put yourself out there, volunteer for leadership opportunities. It's also a good time to actually have mentors. So these are people in your field who know a lot more than you about it. Develop relationships, find a good one that you can, or several that you can keep in touch with throughout the year. And you'll get advice from them that you'll not get from anywhere else to help you. On the flip side, there's a star called the robbery star. And this doesn't mean you'll get robbed, but this just means unexpected loss of both material and non-material things. So just be a little bit more aware of that. The robbery star this year, from a feng shui perspective, is in the northeast. So try to be conscious of that. Don't put a lot of activity there. Try to keep that area of your office or home quiet so you won't trigger this robbery star. And also be careful of your expenses. These could be small expenses that add up over time. So watch your credit card bill this year.
Be practical.
Be practical.
Right? So for the year of the rooster, what's in store for them?
So for the rooster, it's what in Chinese we call chong, or the conflict year. So this means that every animal has their own conflict. And last year was the monkey, this year is the rooster, conflicting with the rabbit. It means, though, it's going to be a year of change and maybe some challenges, but the important thing is how you approach it. So if you have a positive attitude toward this change, make it more opportunities that you can actually develop from, make it a transformative year, this will be good for the rooster. You can overcome any obstacles or hurdles that come your way. There's also a star called the big drain star, meaning there might be some big money outflow from you. One way we teach our clients, if they have this sign, is to actually look for good investments so that your money outflow won't be for an expense. It'll be for a good asset or investment. So that's something for the rooster to keep in mind. Also, watch out a little bit more for your contracts and legal papers this year. Have a lawyer review it if you need to, just so that you won't get into any legal trouble.
Okay, final 2 signs. We have the year of the dog.
Sure. So for the dog, there's a star called the Emperor star. And this means it's good for your work, which then leads to good money luck and also good professional advancement. But you have to put the work in, and all the other things will follow from there. There's also a star for problem solving. So no problem will be too big for you this year. And given that, try to be the problem solver for other people in your life, in your family, in your place of business. You'll be the problem solver.
It's a good thing to remember, right? Be the problem solver.
Exactly.
Okay.
Couple of things to watch out for. One's around arguments, and especially around expectations. So don't put too high expectations on other people when you know they maybe can't be met. So just be reasonable with your expectations from other people so you won't get disappointed. And then lastly, there's also a health star for the dog. So just try to adapt a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
Nutrition, get some rest, get some sleep, manage your stress.
For everyone, try to be healthy. For the pig, finally, for the pig, last one.
So for the pig, there's a Sky Chef star, which is good for celebrations and for food. So try to surround yourself with food and happy events this year. Also be wary, though, of some injuries that may come your way, so be wary for your surroundings. There's also this star called the false information star that might make you get not good information or fake news coming your way, which might affect your decision making. So just try to verify your sources always, and also don't spread fake news if you can.
Very quickly, 20 seconds, how do we attract luck as we welcome the Chinese New Year?
Sure. So for your home, put a lot of flowers. It's Spring Festival. Also fill your rice bins with rice that's overflowing, and put an ang pao, red envelope, with 168 pesos. And
Why
then,
168?
that's a lucky number for to welcome in luck.
Okay.
And then also put 5 fruits in even numbers in your table. Put pomelo fruit, oranges, pineapples, apples, and dragon fruit, and arrange that, and all different sweet things like tikoy as well into your dinner table, so you can welcome in a lot more luck.
Okay, thank you. We will try to do all that as we welcome the new year. May we all achieve our goals this year.
Yes.
And may blessings be in abundance for all of us. Thank you so much, Feng Shui expert Patrick Lim Fernandez.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Mai Rodriguez. You're watching CNN Philippines.